Seems like there should be a Robb Ryerse in the opening countdown. But maybe it'll be the big build. Rob, maybe people will just feel like, where is he? Where is he? We need our Robb Ryerse. Oh, there he is. There he is.
Here I am.
Podcast listeners, that's a little treat just for the people who are watching this over on YouTube and they can see the video version of this. Good morning, Rob. Happy 21st of November. Wow.
Morning, Doug.
Holy moly. Overcast, drizzly, and fall day for the people who've been like, man, I wanted to wear the heavy flannel finally this fall here in Minnesota. Maybe get a pumpkin latte. Today's your day in Minneapolis. How's it snuggled away outside of Fayetteville, Arkansas?
Cold and rainy. Vanessa referred to it yesterday as it is Hallmark movie sweater weather.
Sweater weather.
But not just any sweater. Like the big oversized Hallmark movie sweater. We're not big Hallmark holiday movie people. Do you watch a lot of Hallmark holiday movies?
Don't think I have. I did see a headline though that there's
professional businesswoman, moves visits her hometown and meets the the apple farmer who, I don't know.
Oh, no, keep going, please. I need, this is the kind of hope I need in my life. Yeah.
I mean, like they're all the same, right? Aren't they?
I don't know. I did see a headline that was something like the 500th one there of these movies, or maybe not 500, some important number of these movies that have now been made, and that's happening. But no, I haven't watched one. It'd be great is if people had a favorite. Like my favorite was 1997's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Hey, a little check-in from Alex. Alex here. Cloudy in Tampa Bay, Florida. Man.
Oh.
Wow.
What's
cloudy
happening in the world?
I don't know. It's even cloudy in the Sunshine State. It's Sunshine State, right? Florida. Yeah. I started to think for a minute that was Arizona because that is a real sunny place. Yeah. And a hearty hello from Danny. Danny, how's the weather where you are, wherever that is? And hey, how are the political storms brewing, Rob? That's what we're going to be talking a bit about today. But before we started, I had a little tip. Now, this might not be useful for everyone, but anyone who takes screenshots on their computer.
Yeah. I
take a lot of screenshots on my phone, like the images that you will see on the side when we get to talking about news articles today. Those are screenshots, often taken from my computer. I take a lot. I'm not sure why I always take a lot. Now that I'm trying to think of the reason I take screenshots, I can hardly come up with one. But over the course of the day, I don't know. I will take many of them. Do you do the same thing? Do you take a lot of screenshots?
I am at the point now where, especially with my phone, I'll take a screenshot like that I want to text to somebody or send to somebody. Take the screenshot, text it from the edit section, and then delete it immediately.
Okay,
so it never lands in my photos.
Yeah, and on your phone, it lets you even do that. Like, do you want to keep this thing or not? It's great. But on your computer, do you take many? Well, here's what I'm getting at. I'll stop with the leading questions. You have a setting I use an Apple Macintosh computer. I don't know if is it still called the Macintosh? It's a MacBook Air. Macintosh Book Air. Yeah. There's a setting of when you take a screenshot, whatever it is, Control Command 4, take a screenshot, where it's going to put it. It defaults to putting it on your desktop, which I can understand why they would, because they probably thought, hey, that's easy to get to. People don't know where these things go, the magic of computers. But when you get a lot of them, your desktop becomes full of screenshots.
Yes.
Simple little tip. You can set up a separate folder called screenshots.
There you go.
On your computer. And then they're just all there. You never, ever have to delete them, and they don't clutter things up.
Automate your life, Doug.
Find all your screenshots. I'll tell you, this has just been a
and then
a serious
if you
life
sort it, so it's sorted by date taken, most recent, it's just right there. Oh, brilliant!
Do you already do this? Have you already have a separate folder for your screenshots?
I don't.
Separate from your desktop.
But this is brilliant.
I was going to say, if you've been holding that out on me, we need to go through a long list of other things you might know
Listen,
that make tips
I'm
better.
yeah. I mean, I'm much more in favor of, I don't know, uh, AI. I think than you might be. I think you might think that AI is a little bit like the ranked choice voting of technology,
No, I'm all
and that
for it.
it's just gonna
I'm all for it.
destroy, kill us all eventually. Um, yeah, so I'm always looking for ways to automate my life and make things easier and more
Sure,
productive and
sure.
efficient.
Does AI do that for you? I guess
Oh yeah.
overall, but
Yeah.
how does the artificial intelligence do that for you? That's automating your life in some way. Like I
Yeah,
know
there's
AI
a
is in my Alexa and my Siri and all the rest of this stuff.
yeah.
Now my
Yeah,
room's going to
there's
start
I
talking
mean,
back to me.
I use a number of extensions and apps and
Oh,
things
oh, you should do video
that
on that. Totally.
yeah, well, I mean, I the reason I know how to do it is because I have watched videos about them, which is
Yes.
why I should probably do my own, but
Mm-hmm. With
yeah.
all the content from those videos for the people who follow you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
It's like having a gas station on your corner.
That's
So when
right.
you're the you're the corner guest. Hey, also just one final tech tip.
Mhm,
Anybody who
mhm,
does copying and pasting,
mhm.
there's a little app. I don't know how much it costs. Sometimes it's free. It might be $1.99 or $9.99 or $19.99. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. It's worth it. It's called Paste, and it keeps all of your pastes. So when you copy and paste something, then you hit Command E, and it just shows up a little toolbar at the bottom of your computer and on your phone of all the pastes that you've done, and you can sort them, and they're all there. Because if, like me, you used to have, like, you get one paste and it just replaces it. You know, it's like it was like in high school having one girlfriend at a time. Like you don't get to carry around 3 or 4 of them. Nope. You got to if you got one, you get a new one, you get rid of the old one. It's the way paste was. Now I don't have to have a girlfriend-like relationship with the things I copy and paste. They're all there forever and
Yeah.
always. It is tremendously helpful. So
This I
tech tips on a Tuesday.
when did we become the Kim Commando show?
I don't know. I don't know. When
Kim
I was
Commando, that's a deep cut. That feels like a deep cut right there.
yeah, for
Kim
sure.
Commando.
When I was copying and pasting something, or I don't know, doing a screenshot, and then,
Screenshotting George
because we wanted
Santos.
George Santos. Yeah, that's how. And I think of this a lot.
That's what
Like,
everyone needs. We need everyone. You now will have a picture of George Santos on your computer for the rest of your computer's lifetime.
yeah, you know what else is fabulous is we're sitting here, chit chatting, talking, because it's a friendly podcast. Our
Yeah,
podcast, we want it to feel like you're
yeah,
hanging around with your neighbors. We're at the coffee shop. We're
yeah,
talking about the important things of life, right? We're
yeah.
doing that. Meanwhile, in the text comments in YouTube, people are just getting to know each other and about
Yeah.
where Mike lives in New
Chatting about
Orleans,
where they
and
live and what the weather is. It's
I don't
awesome.
care what we're talking about. But
Yeah,
it could very well have just turned the speaker down.
we are
And now
background noise. Yeah,
now are just
we
my
we
favorite.
we are
My favorite.
background noise for the common good community.
Yeah, are you one of those people where you work well in sometimes you need to go into a place with a little hubbub going
Yeah,
on, a
yeah,
little sound in the
yeah.
background?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep. I am. I tend to work in spurts. I'm a spurt worker. I don't know if that's a thing. Where
Hmm.
I will be highly productive for a short period of time, and we'll get
This deserves a
more
clear
done.
cut. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, yeah. We'll get lots and lots done in a short period of time,
Oh
and
yeah.
then I need a change of scenery. Like I could work at this desk for a while, and then I got to go sit on the back porch and work,
Oh, I
and then I
see.
got to go to the coffee shop, or not the coffee shop.
Mm,
Let's be honest, it's not the coffee shop. I got to go to the cigar shop and work,
mm-hmm.
and I just got to move around a little bit. I need a
Mm-hmm.
little change of scenery, um, and I do like a little bit of background noise, though. At the cigar shop, my goodness, there is a guy who comes in and turns the TV on. And listen, I'm not opposed to the TV being on, but it is
Really?
he turns it on so loud
Huh.
that like it's got to be you know, earbuds in. And I depending on the work, I like to have a little instrumental music, some of the deep focus playlists on Spotify. Other than that, I can listen to a
Hmm.
podcast, listen to music.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm creating, if I'm like writing, if I'm well, Let's be honest. If I'm having ChatGPT write something for me,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
um,
mm-hmm.
uh, then I need to have the deep focus music on
Yeah,
that's just
yeah.
instrumental.
I've been seeing some headlines about the is it the
Oh
Chat GPT
yeah,
CEO who was fired by the
yeah,
board?
yes,
I
yeah.
just refuse to get
Oh,
involved in this. Like the way we take
just
like business CEOs and turn them into celebrities, and
oh
then turn celebrities into drama news. I
yeah,
cannot
yeah,
stand it. So
yeah.
I don't read it. But tell me what's all going on. What's going on with the Chat GPT guy?
I
Uh,
don't, he was shockingly fired. Sam Altman, the
yeah.
CEO of OpenAI, which is the company that created ChatGPT, shockingly fired by the board. His kind of business partner resigned in protest. 700. Well, I read today that 700 of the 770 employees of OpenAI are
Uh-oh.
ready to resign. Um,
Wow.
um,
He had the rank and file with him around there, didn't he?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Can we use union talk when
One
we're
of
talking
yeah,
about, high tech?
one of the board members tweeted that he regrets his involvement, and yeah, and
Why'd
now
they fire him? Do you know? Do you know
no,
any of
there
the?
nobody knows. Like
Oh
it
no.
hasn't been publicly announced. Microsoft announced that they hired him, um, but that seems to be
Didn't
like
take long.
yeah, less than a day. But he hasn't said anything about that, and it seems like he wants to go back to OpenAI, back to
Huh.
ChatGPT.
Well,
So I don't. It is. There's high drama in the world of AI right now.
at the risk of being Robert Kennedy Jr. and therefore having this flag warning put
Mm,
on this video,
yeah.
all of this stuff just feels like this is particularly with Chat GPT and kind of open AI all around. They've become masterful at getting themselves in the news about newsy stuff,
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
Congress and like, we're so
Yeah.
powerful, you need to regulate us. Please, please hold us back from destroying the world because we're so powerful. Like they just do this stuff, and I'm all for it. I didn't
Yeah.
sound like I'm not for it. All of this just feels like it is unnecessary, right? Like why is I don't know.
What?
It feels Elon Musk like it feels like it's out of that genre
Mm,
of tech leaders and business owners or business heads that also when I'm on a first name basis, kind of the old Henry Ford, Jack Welch kind of thing. I don't know. I find it less than appealing. Am I off on anything there, or is this? I don't know. Do you see what I'm getting
yeah.
at? Like it was a little bit that
Yeah.
way with Steve
Yeah.
Jobs too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Ah,
Ah.
I don't care. I don't care who the I don't care
Hey,
at all. Who
this
cares
isn't
who
the
the CEO of ChatGPT is? I mean, the
well, I
board
mean,
should or whatever.
yeah, the board
Maybe
shareholders,
investors.
I
Okay,
imagine.
yeah, all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
How many times do you think they're sitting around like, Apple was doing fine, and then the board fired Steve Jobs, and then they almost sold it off to Microsoft for $0, and then it came roaring back when they brought Steve Jobs back. So never let a CEO go, and CEOs are always the key to the company, and that story,
Yeah.
which was true. I mean, all that stuff I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
mocked
Yeah.
by tone of voice is
Yes.
actually what happened.
Yeah.
It's
Pretty much.
probably. All right. Hey, Rob, I asked SIRI today, I have to keep it quiet,
Mm,
if how many days it was until November 5th, 2024. And
hmm
obviously you might know why. It's the end of elections. That's the end of voting day, which I
Yep.
think we now need to start referring to what we used to call election day.
hmm
It technically is not even
Voting day.
election day. It's not even election day because the election, I don't know. It's complicated.
Yeah.
It's now, it's always has been many weeks of voting.
hmm
There's absentee ballots that people can receive and they get. So anyway, voting is a season, and the end of voting is somewhere between 6 and 8 p.m. local time to wherever someone is on November 5th.
hmm
And that's 350 days.
Criminal if it's 6, by the way.
You mean actually criminal, or you think it just shouldn't be 6?
I
It's a,
think it should be against the law for it to be 6.
only people who don't work a standard work time need to vote. That's what they're getting at. That's what they're getting at. It used to be like white male landowners.
Yeah.
Now we're just keeping with the spirit of 1776, for the libertarians among us who just want to get back to the good old days.
Doug, libertarians had a big win.
Really?
Yes.
They renounced their false beliefs and walked away from them and set them afire? What did they do?
Weird-haired guy in is it Argentina, Venezuela?
Oh.
that guy.
Bing, bing, bing.
That libertarian dude. Yeah.
Okay, but Argentinian libertarianism might even have a different flavor and variant.
Yeah, we'll see.
Like when the French hear you talk about the libertarians, they're in another thing. Yeah.
I don't mean to derail you on
that's all right.
Your conversation about the importance of voting.
Yeah, the importance of voting. Anyway, 350 days.
Yeah.
It could look. As goes North Carolina, so goes the country, some people argue. And in North Carolina, a mayor's race was solved by the flip of a coin. When the election happened a couple weeks ago, the one that we said nothing important was happening, well, that's not true for a couple of guys in North Carolina. 970 votes were cast for each of the top two vote getters. The same number, 970. And rather than and like counting day, they figure, and rather than like maybe there's an absentee ballot somewhere, maybe we need to have all the ballots examined, which you could do quite quickly. They didn't contest it. They walked into an office, sat down. The head of the Elections Commission, great line from the article, went to his office, and you know what he did, Rob? He grabbed a silver dollar.
Hey.
Who has a silver dollar in their office? This is a guy prepared for a tight election. Oh. I love everything about this story. Comes back in the room, and I haven't seen a video, but I hope someone pulled out their phone and put it on slow-mo mode while that guy flipped that coin. Flips the coin, silver dollar. Just imagine this in slow-mo. Oh, look at that. I got the thing on my screen. Look real quick. Oh, you missed it.
I saw it.
I had a thing on my screen.
Yeah.
I flicked the thumb up. By the way, podcast listeners only. Things show up because of software inside of a Macintosh now with hand gestures. And every once in a while I get things. Flipped the coin. There it is. Flipped a coin and it went in the air, hit the table, bounced off the table, rolled on the floor, spun around, and landed on tails. And now there's a new mayor.
They have to get on their hands and knees to see who won?
They ran over, and the guy who won said it was the longest roll that I've ever imagined. Like so much was on the line. And so then the article...
American democracy at its best.
It's the toss of a coin. This is like... I mean, with all the close elections, right? We have new Dauphin County Commissioner Justin Douglas to talk about, who won by 47 votes or something, a vote common good candidate a couple of Tuesdays ago. We've got some stories to tell. It could come down to the toss of a coin in some of these states, and we don't want it to come to that. But anyway, a new mayor, Robert Burns, is now the mayor, and then the other guy who called heads and it landed on tails. He got to call it the other fella.
Oh, does that haunt you? Does that just haunt you?
Says, and he's probably like, no, I was a captain of the football team. I was captain of football. We always call heads. Like, I'm committed to heads. I'm a heads caller. That's it.
He's a heads guy.
Heads guy. Heads guy. I don't even know what I was saying now. Anyway, flip of a coin, and the guy who lost, who called heads, said to the reporter, "I just want to be clear. We did not lose the election. We lost the coin toss."
Oh, I love it. That is excellent spin.
Isn't that beautiful?
Fantastic.
We didn't lose the election. I lost a coin toss. Oh, man, I love it. Maybe they can find a power sharing agreement like they have to do in parliamentary places. So anyway, 350 days until the coin toss of American democracy flies in the air with maybe a Susan B. Anthony dollar. Were Susan B. Anthony's dollars, or were they 50 cent a dollar?
It was $1.
And
Yeah.
we should travel with one of those when we get back on the road here in 2024. Yeah. We should reenact all this. We don't want this to come down to a Susan B. Anthony flip of a coin, or a flip of a Susan B. Anthony coin.
But it might be more difficult for it to be determined by votes because courts have ruled that I don't know, voting rights. Who needs them?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Let's not be so precious about your voting rights. This is a startling headline. Federal Appeals Court wants to kick it up to the Supreme Court, which, look, maybe that's how it works. I don't know how federal appeals courts posture themselves. Maybe they feel like this is something that needs to get to the Supreme Court. But anyway, they overturned a lower appellate court decision about who can bring a claim of Voting Rights Act violations. So they're not technically overturning the voting rights things that have already taken place, determinations and judgments. They're not even saying we don't have a Voting Rights Act. They are saying the only person with authority to bring a claim of a voting rights violation is the Attorney General of the United States as a federal designate. That's what it's about. So saying that a standard group can't file a lawsuit claiming a violation of Voting Rights Act, which is the way it's been up until this point, which allows there to be a lot of claims against voting rights about voting rights violations, and then those make their way up and then become determinations. And so this is a big deal to say that only the Attorney General has the authority to do so. So maybe they'll have to change some language inside of the bill, voting rights bill, or something. But that's what this is about.
Yeah, it's deeply disturbing. We have. I have when it comes to voting rights, I have kind of this operating principle that we need to make voting easier, not harder. Like that, just need to make it. Does this make it easier for people to vote, or does it make it more difficult for people to vote? And when you bottleneck the challenges to people's ability to redress grievances related to their voting rights, like that seems like it ultimately has the effect of making it harder for people to vote. And so I think in a democracy, in a constitutional republic, a democratic republic, whatever Speaker Mike Johnson would like to call it, because he doesn't want to call it a democracy. In our system of government, we need to make it easier for people to vote. That's why polls need to be open longer. Yeah. That's why early voting, mail-in voting, like automatic registration. Why should you have to register to vote?
Yes.
What is that?
What is that?
Are you an adult who's a citizen of this country?
Yeah.
You can vote. We need to make it easier for people to vote, not harder.
And only adults? Why? Okay, we can talk about that too.
I
don't know.
I don't know either. So something like this, where we have seen deliberate attempts, particularly by the Republicans, to draw maps that disenfranchise voters, congressional district maps that disenfranchise voters. We've seen purging of voter rolls in ways that really question whether or not things are being done on the up and up to disenfranchise voters.
Yep.
Something like this just kind of goes in line with this thing of like, wait a minute, what are we doing here? Are we taking steps backwards, making it more difficult for people to vote instead of easier to vote? And
I'm with you. I heard a terrific. I listened to a podcast called Stuff You Should Know. Do you know this podcast?
Oh yeah, big fan of Stuff.
I like it. It's just. Yeah. I mean, I've just liked so much about it. They had an episode on crunchy peanut butter that I listened to during the pandemic, and
Mm,
I laughed myself to tears and just loved
yeah.
it so much.
Are you a crunchy peanut butter guy?
Honey, I am tonight.
Yeah.
Literally, I mean, just before this. Yeah. Yeah. My
Yeah.
regular breakfast is a piece of toast with peanut butter on it, a little
Crunchy peanut butter.
soft spread of jelly, and then a fried egg on top. And then I eat it open
Oh,
face with a knife and a fork.
yeah.
It's what,
I like it.
breakfast
Yeah.
of real breakfast of
Yeah.
champions.
I like it.
And
I like it.
the crunchy
Crunchy, but
peanut
what?
butter
But
works
crunchy.
in that.
Crunchy.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm a creamy peanut butter guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a sandwich, I'd be totally a creamy peanut butter guy. Or if it's just going to be toast, open faced toast with a spread of peanut butter and then
Doug,
a little bit of honey, drizzled over the top, creamy,
yeah, Doug,
creamy all day.
yeah, Doug, are you one of these people that thinks that
Probably.
chips doesn't go with a sandwich?
No, I think chips go with a sandwich. I don't think
Yeah,
tortilla. You can't have a tortilla chip. Sometimes I have to have tortilla chips, and I really feel like I'm breaking the rules. You can't have tortilla
oh
chips with
yeah,
a sandwich
without salsa. They have to have
unless it's
salsa.
Doritos. Yeah, unless
Yeah,
it's
oh yeah,
Doritos.
Doritos are good because they're flavored. Yeah,
So I could
yeah,
have
because they've got some flavor.
nacho cheese flavored with a
Yeah,
turkey
I'm just trying
sandwich.
to remember. Like we had some people where I was on the Vocoming Good tour. We had some people who are like, "You don't eat chips with a sandwich." What are
Yeah,
you
who
talking
was
about?
that? Yeah.
I don't know. Was it
Yeah, like
Brandon?
Dan. It was like
Brandon
Dan.
or
It was like
Dan?
producer Dan. Yeah,
Oh my goodness,
I'm
that guy.
going to accuse Dan until he watches this and says it was not him. I think it's
I
Dan.
think it was him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
But it was like chips are okay with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but not okay with like a deli meat sandwich.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, he was very tuned in. Yeah, he had
Bizarre.
yeah, yes.
What are you even talking about?
Yeah, no, I
What are
understand.
we talking about
Well,
right
that's
now?
how I am about tortilla
Stuff
chips
you should know.
with sandwich combo. You can't have them unless they're flavored with fake nacho cheese. But there was
Stuff you should know.
a recent episode on Stuff You Should Know, another great podcast that if you're going to listen to two podcasts, let this be one and that be another. Not necessarily in that order. About voting, the history of voting and voting rights in the United States. And they made an interesting point that the first disenfranchised group in the United States who organized federal movement to enfranchise them, you know who it was? You're gonna love it. White men who weren't landowners. Like the first group who felt they had to get out and protest and change legislation and work for it, white men. And their point was every single group of people has had to fight for the vote. There was a revolution for the first group, white male landowners. Then it became white male non-landowner, and then has just kept going. And that's the thing about the United States, and it's kind of true about a lot of things. The origin story really sets the narrative.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to ever get out of it. So this particular story we're talking about now with voting rights is like, this is about as a classic American as you get. Who gets to vote, for what, and when? And do you know what people didn't vote for a long, long time? Senators.
Yep.
I think they voted
were chosen by state legislatures.
Yeah. Which kind of freaks out some of us who hear the people talking about the power of the state legislatures to actually pick the president and all the rest of it. And maybe the president too was picked. But anyway, there was like very local representative form of constitutionalism. And then those people elected the person who was going to be in charge. Kind of like we do with the Speaker of the House or the majority of the leader.
In a day and age where there's not like the easy dissemination of information, there's not easy travel around, you elect a leader that you trust, from your local area, and that makes sense. We don't live in that kind of world anymore. We live in a world where, my senators can communicate with me, even though I've got one who lives not far from me, and then I've got one who lives in Virginia, just uses his parents' address.
Yeah. Well, he's a traditionalist. He's a family. He's a family traditionalist. He's just still living.
Looking at you, Tom Cotton. So, in this day and age, we have the ability for candidates to connect with voters. Totally makes sense in previous time.
Okay, but
Oh,
Wait,
I
no,
thought you were interrupting me.
I did. I thought you were finished, and then you pivoted. So I'm waiting on you now. Like it's like at the 4-way stop when you're like, oh, dude, I thought
Yeah,
you were.
do you go? I thought
You
I
are you finishing that?
yeah.
Do you have another?
Go go ahead.
There's a lot of voting advocates who rightly remind us that not everyone has the same level of access to be communicated to
Yes.
by our representatives, both because of economics, technology, language, culture. So there's a thing that tends to happen to the majority of us in a culture where we think that what's happening with the majority of culture is just sort of what's normative. And I know it can be irritating and sometimes it's unnecessary, but often it's crucial to hear people say, but hold on a minute, we can't just go to that format. There are some people who push back on mail-in voting for this very same reason. There's a whole mechanism by which you have to receive a ballot mailed to a mailing address. So there's some complications to it. So the question of not only who gets to vote, how they vote, and under what time period, it is ongoing work. And we do need to talk about it more often. And it can become really easy for Republicans to say things like, well, we have to keep illegal people from voting. And they can just stop saying that because that's not a problem. We know it. We've looked into it. Everybody's looked into it. It's not a problem. In fact, I think the 17 people that maybe were arrested in 2020 for voter fraud, I think they all voted for Trump. Like they were all Trumpers.
Yes.
So, okay, fair enough. Can you all get off the 17 people and stop with this nonsense?
Wasn't Mark Meadows one of them?
Very well could have been, and he very well may not be able to vote in some places in the future. But anyway, this is a big thing.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a lot about it, and the mechanisms for voting is a big deal, and when and how and all the rest.
Watch this transition, Doug.
Hey, do it.
I've been working on my transitions lately on the podcast. I don't know if
Do
you
your
noticed
magic
that,
trick.
but watch this one. Watch this one. Voters in New York are not going to have the opportunity to vote for Representative George Santos.
That was not for what George Santos did or didn't do. That was for your transition. That was just an applause for your transition. Well done, Rob.
Yeah. So the House Ethics Report came out. The long-awaited House Ethics Report about George Santos, congressman from New York. There were several people who, when other congressmen from New York, other Republican congresspeople from New York introduced a resolution saying that George Santos should be expelled from the House of Representatives. Many congresspeople voted against that expulsion. Including people like Katie Porter and Jamie Raskin and folks like that, saying that due process needed to run its course before they made a decision of punishment, and specifically saying, well, let's see what the House Ethics Report says before we make this decision. Well, that report is out. It is damning. It finds that George Santos has done, all of the things and more that he's been accused of, including kind of some of the new revelations were that, he used campaign funds, those small dollar donors, helped, fund his OnlyFans habits. And,
which is what? Is that like an adult sex website?
Yeah, it's like porn on demand. It's like content. It's for content. I
see. I don't know. I don't even know what it is. I thought I would ask you quickly,
sounding
Rob.
like I'm an OnlyFans expert here, which is horrifying. It's a content creator thing where you create content only for your fans and they pay for it.
I see.
So
are you happy with the user interface there?
Oh,
do you feel like
it's
top notch?
The really great thing is the ability to automatically put my screenshots into a folder.
Yeah. See, that's my level of interest in what we can pull off. Not
Yeah.
following a particular star of adult
Yeah.
film.
Yeah. So apparently, George Santos was using campaign funds on, on OnlyFans, and some of the embarrassing
It's
things are like makeup companies and that kind of thing. So all of this to say, this guy is not a serious person. He never should have been elected to the House of Representatives. Um, with this report coming out, several people who voted against his expulsion um,
yeah,
announced that, yeah, we're going to vote to expel him. And he announced that he will not be running for reelection. So George Santos will be a one-termer.
yep,
I think he made that announcement in hopes of um, staving off being expelled. I think that's the way that he keeps from being expelled, is by
yeah,
saying,
sure,
"Okay, oh, okay, I won't run
right,
again. Don't
right,
expel me. I got it."
yeah.
But yeah, this guy is
And he's
soon
probably
to
going to have a
be.
tough time raising money. Even small dollar donors are going to have a little bit of hesitation
Like,
of chipping in their
yeah,
$5
yeah,
to help them get over the top.
rush $5 now. Smash that button. It's just, we are close to the George Santos era being over,
Oh,
and I'm pretty sure that he'll be a answer to a trivia question. Someone that someday will be like, "Hey, you remember that George Santos guy?"
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that like he's going to be out of our hair, and will
Yeah, but
re-
he may find a way to be around. I'll tell you the thing about this
like
cat.
running against Chuck Schumer or something like that.
Sure, I mean whatever. Okay, so again, Jacob, whatever his last name is, the QAnon guy is running for Congress, as we talked about last week. I got a thumbs down.
Yeah.
As we talked about last week. So is George Santos going to be out of our hair? Maybe not. But look, at least here's the thing: in the last 5 years, we have had a number of things happen in this country that have been newsworthy. That in 25 years, when people look back on the video footage and photos, they're going to be like, what the crazy was going on back then? There was
Yeah.
this congressman who wore like this red jacket and these crazy shoes and these glasses. Like they're going to look back with nostalgia.
He always wore a sweater.
Yeah, he's in a sweater and crazy jackets. His outfits are something. And I mean, all the street actions and protests and things that have gone on. This is like the way I look back on the 60s and the 50s when you're like watching these old photos and films of Senate hearings. And you're like, look at these people, how they dressed and George Santos right in the bullseye of the quirky character in politics.
The Ken Burns American Experience documentary about George Santos 40 years from now is going to be fantastic.
And so at least that, right, for all the things, and I can't think about George Santos without the utter level of frustration about New York Democrats and whatever went on in New York State that allowed them to lose the number of seats and therefore lose control of the House and therefore set this country again. I mean, it puts me in, Anthony Weiner territory with Huma's laptop level of frustration.
Yes.
Also some New Yorkers, by the way. And I love New York. I have a family that live in New York. I'm a New Yorker.
Doug, I get,
but come on, New York. Could we button up here? Could we straighten up for the sake of democracy and stop with just the nonsense that comes out of this? And that's just the Democrats. I'm not even blaming the people who voted for George Santos. He never should have won that seat. Democrats should have made it impossible in a state like New York, in a district like his. Yes. All right, rant complete.
I'm gonna take a screenshot of this. That was
Please
a hot
do.
take.
Please do.
I'm gonna take a screenshot and send it to you. When you're on Facebook and Facebook suggests friends to you.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, somebody you might know. Here's suggest a friend. Do you know who Facebook has been suggesting to me as a friend lately?
Anthony Weiner.
Anthony Weiner.
Really?
Really?
The real one?
Yeah. Yeah, I will screenshot it and send it to
Oh,
you.
no. Send that friend request. Let's get that guy on here. I'd like to chit chat for a little bit now that his I don't know, current or former wife is now an MSNBC special correspondent.
Mm.
I'd love to have him on and just chit chat for a little bit about his use of his wife's computer for all the nonsense that he did while it contained emails that he shouldn't have had access to, which cost people their confidence in a candidate in 2016 and sent the country. Yeah, Anthony Weiner. You're welcome, everybody, for that reminder. For that
Okay.
that little reminder.
I'm now on
of
Facebook seeing
of what guy.
seeing if I can get the Anthony Weiner friend suggestion, because they cycle these things around. But so
Sure.
you make a clever transition to something else, Doug.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to push a button because I can't remember. Hey, this war in Hamas, the war in Israel, I think it's going to come to an end in at least a temporary fashion in sometime today. It sounds like from the reports that are coming out of the White House and other places today that Hamas and Israel are going to work up a truce of some kind, which would involve the release of hostages. There is no level at which this hasn't just been simply horrible.
Yeah.
Since October 7th, it's been terrible. Before October 7th, it was unlivable for Palestinians in many places, including the West Bank, for Netanyahu tying in with the most extreme religious zealots and continuing expansions in the West Bank and all the things that have gone on. All of the it is the people wanting there not to be a two-state solution, including Netanyahu and other people in the Israeli government, just totally setting aside anything for it's been horrible, right? Full stop. And not to, quick rewind and flash back to this podcast, but every war ends with a negotiation. That is how they end. Mm-hmm. The surrender or the general giving up happens when the two sides say, we will stop with the warring part. Point being, things are not solved by the wars. They're not solved by the bullets and the bombs and the violence. That creates a condition that is so untenable that people have to then negotiate. So it's always the negotiation. It's always the diplomats. It's always the people trying to find the next way forward. And when we're convinced by people who want there to be war, that war is the thing you have to do whatever you can, my advice would be, to caveat that with, until we get to what will be the ultimate solution. And don't tell ourselves that war is the thing and the military and these people keep us safe. That is not how it works. And it creates a mindset that I don't want to be overly theological on a Tuesday. But the myth of redemptive violence is a phrase that is very common in our understanding of human interactions, that we create this myth that somehow there's redemption that comes through violent acts on each other. And it is perpetuate.
Every superhero movie, every Matt Damon movie, every this is like the Bourne movies, like every Liam Neeson movie.
Yeah, every myth from mythology. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, like this is a story we tell ourselves over and over and over again, that the path to what we want, the path to peace, the path to redemption of whatever it is, it's redemptive violence. It's shock and awe. It's overwhelming, overcoming violence. That that if you do something to me, I'm going to do something even greater to you, and like that's the path. And it is something that we have just convinced ourselves of.
Yes. Yeah, and there's an entire apparatus in place to perpetuate it. Now, look, we, as a pacifist, I will say, We have to acknowledge as pacifists that we live in a world in which violence and military violence, state-sponsored military violence, is baked in. Mm-hmm. To be a pacifist is not to say, I'm going to close my eyes and pretend that's not the world. It is to remind us that it doesn't have to be this way. And even when we use it, we're using it for one particular set of outcomes, and we shouldn't extend the benefits of that violence beyond their very limited amount of impact. They create a condition that makes things so untenable, so horrible, that negotiation has to come about.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go close up. And that is only made necessary when every other set of conditions to make the negotiation possible have failed. War and military action is always the result of a failure of that which we will then have to solve in order to allow the kind of outcome that we want to become a reality. All the time. And if we treat people who choose to be in the military in the United States or those who are subscribed in other countries into militaries, if we act as if it's something else, well, they are the people that keep us safe, that kind of thing. If we do that, then we're telling ourselves an untruth about how military violence or any kind of violence is utilized in the affairs of humanity. That's the preach from me on this particular topic. So to the degree that Hamas is now going to say, can we have a truce for a period of days and release some or all of the hostages, has all kinds of negotiation stuff going on. And I can see reasons why people would be against it and for it, and there's all kinds of things. But at some point, the bombing and killing and maiming on both sides is going to stop and has to stop. And we have to just understand that in a world in which we're going to use violence, what it actually does and what it doesn't do.
Yes.
Heavy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Cheers.
All right. Should I push another button?
Yeah.
No, that's the George Santos button. That's the wrong button. People should, you know what I should do? I should show people what I actually do here. Was that loud? I have this little machine, and this little machine has these scenes on it. And when I push these little buttons, it changes the scene that's on the screen. See that? So sometimes when I say, I pushed the wrong button, I'm not being metaphorical.
Yeah, it's very literal.
I literally
very literal.
push wrong. And it's extremely hard to read these. And sometimes I rearrange them and push them around and all this stuff just before we get started. And now when producer Dan is at the helm, he's having
much more
to do less things. Yes. And can focus his attention in a way that's good and right. So that's
I'm looking for a clever transition. Jacketless Jim Jordan is I don't know. What are we?
Jackie Jim?
This impeachment of Joe Biden is not going to happen.
Happen. Okay, that's
kind of like war. Like it's kind of like violence. It's happening for a while and then it has to end.
Yeah, it's going to go away.
This impeachment of Joe Biden.
Okay, here's the thing. Many of us were promised, because we paid attention to what Republicans said, that when and this reminds me. Do you remember when Kevin McCarthy was a Speaker of the House and now he's not? Now he's not.
Old days, right?
I'm just so pleased about that feeling of something that was and now isn't anymore. That feeling. It's just terrific. So I'm just basking in that for a moment. But when he was the Speaker, he said, "Hey, don't you people?" He berated a reporter, and I watched the video of it. Maybe even shown it here on the podcast. Hey, you don't you think it's important that we find out what was going on with Biden? Don't you think it's important we look into the bank records? All we want to do is use impeachment inquiry to get this out in the open, because we have tools then that we can utilize. It was really to try to keep Matt Gaetz from calling for his removal as the Speaker before he ultimately did. So he launches this whole thing. And we were told by the then Speaker of the House, by many Republicans who are chair of committees that we will see things that this committee is going to discover that will shock this nation about how Joe Biden has behaved,
the
about
Biden
how he is a
crime family.
criminal syndicate. So they've been poking around, digging around, looking up bank records, looking at the laptop, all this stuff. And now they've got one thing left. Their last thing that's on their docket, apparently, or among the last things, if it's not the last thing, is to depose Hunter Biden before the committee. How do you think that's going to go, right? Think they're going to get something out of Hunter Biden that they haven't gotten through all the other investigations? And then in January, they're going to write their report, and there's going to be nothing here. And all of this for years of people saying, once Congress looks into this, you will see it. My red hat, blue hat conversation partner, Casey, tells me that repeatedly, hasn't mentioned it in weeks. The Republicans have just moved on from this thing. And it still is, bouncing around a little bit. It'll come to a vote. And I think many of the moderate Republicans are going to say, I am not voting for the impeachment of Joe Biden over you saying that his money he gave to his brother-in-law didn't actually go for a down payment on. Like, it's so outrageous. And again, it has always and only been about you impeach Donald Trump, Democrats, we're going to impeach your guy. That's it. That's all it has ever been. That's been the motivation, top to bottom, about all of this. Do you think any differently?
No, I don't. I just my 10:30 meeting just canceled, so I'm sorry. No, it's good news. Good news.
Yeah, I'm sorry to bother you.
We could. I was trying to figure out if I was going to have to wind this thing.
Yeah. You were rolling out,
chatting all day, and we can keep chatting all day because my 10:30 meeting just canceled.
We can chat GPT all day.
Yeah, listen. Jim Jordan is a joke. He's a farce. His insistence on trying to impeach Joe Biden, the ridiculous talking point of the weaponization of the federal government, he's a farce. He was proven to be a farce.
Yes.
The American people don't take him seriously.
No.
His own caucus doesn't take him seriously. Yes. If they did, they would have elected him Speaker of the House, but he couldn't even get enough votes to even get close to making that happen.
Yes, right.
Jim Jordan is he needs to join George Santos in the dustbin of history. I'm so done with this guy. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, this guy's a joke too, but thankfully he's got enough brains in his head to know, we got to stop playing these games. We need to fund the government and stop threatening shutdowns. Hey, Jim Jordan, Matt Gaetz, Mike Johnson just did exactly what you removed Kevin McCarthy from the speakership. He did exactly the same thing.
Yes.
Kept the government open with a short-term funding with Democratic votes. He did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Because he knows that this is a joke. He said there's no, that we're not moving forward on the impeachment of Joe Biden because he knows this is a joke. The American people are watching. Doug, did you see that the Republican Congressional Campaign Committee, they've got a different name. It's the Republican equivalent of the DCCC. It's the RCCC, but it's not a triple C, whatever it is. In September, they brought in $9 million, which was down a bit from what they normally bring in. In October, they brought in $5 million in donation. They're going the wrong direction.
By a lot.
And the reason is because the American people see the joke that is the Republicans in the House of Representatives, and they just want this ridiculousness to be over.
Yes.
From George Santos to Jim Jordan to these doofuses, threatening each other, to fight outside in the middle of hearings.
Was that just
calling.
last week that we saw that, or was
Yeah, it was
that in
last week.
between?
Yeah, that was last week. That was
Okay.
Mark Wayne. Mark Wayne.
Yeah,
Mark
yeah.
Wayne.
McQueen. Yeah.
Um, it it's just ridiculous, and these people need to go away. They're
Yes.
not serious, and I'm so tired of them. And speaking of them, Speaker Mike Johnson goes and bends the knee to
Yes.
the great orange one in Mar-a-Lago.
And just want to acknowledge Jim's fun comment that George Santos will be leaving a jacket for Jacketless Jim when he leaves. So he'll always have a jacket that he could wear. He can wear the Santos jacket. Great line, Jim. Good one. Yeah, yeah. So House Speaker Mike Johnson, first of all, endorses Trump at this stage. Just, I mean, unbelievable, right? It's just so beneath what, to the degree of whatever the speakership is supposed to be and do. Come on, man. And then he went down to Mar-a-Lago and bent the knee and met with Trump. Like, could he be any more Kevin McCarthy? And remember when he was a Speaker of the House and now isn't? Could he be any more that guy? I mean, makes the same deal with the Democrats, speaks the same way about the impeachment stuff that Kevin McCarthy did, and then goes down to Mar-a-Lago for a meet and greet with the pumpkin. It's amazing. I mean, these guys, Rob, it is truly exhausting. And look, we care about this at a personal and professional level. And I don't know how other people who are just your standard Republican can wrap their heads around this stuff. It's just so bonkers. Now the argument could be, and this is what I think the argument that Republicans should make is, look, in divided government, when you have different political parties that hold control of different branches, you're only going to get so much stuff done. They should lower expectations.
Yes.
They should be saying, here's the stuff we are passing. Because I think like Congress last time or sometime when it was divided Congress is actually the most productive Congress on run-of-the-mill stuff that they got together. So there's an argument that could be made that way. But they're not doing that. They could say, look, there's only so much stuff we can get done, and we know that we're toiling over here in the House without the Senate and without the White House. So, we're going to make sure the government stays open. We're going to pass the important bills. We're going to debate some things. Yep. But that's not even what they're doing.
Yeah, and we're like, they ought to be positioning themselves as, listen, we've got divided government. Democrats have the Senate, have the White House. What we're here to do is put guardrails on making sure they don't go too far, they don't become too extreme. Like, they could position themselves like as a check and balance that works with Democrats, but not in that like that works to curb the most extreme aspects of Democratic agenda. And they could then position themselves as pretty effective. Instead, they've got Chip Roy going to the floor of the House of Representatives screaming about how they can't get anything done. He says, give me one thing to campaign on, one thing. All I need is one thing, because we haven't done it, because they're a joke. Yeah.
Well, and they've chosen for that not to be their tactic, right? Yeah. They've chosen for it to be oppose Biden, support Trump, and get yourself on podcasts and Fox News and hit up your small dollar donors. I mean, it's just they've whittled it down to just not being for and really even against anything people care about. Now, I'm not making a suggestion that Democrats have this figured out. It's unclear to me what Chuck Schumer is doing as the majority leader in the Senate. Rob, just to acknowledge it for a minute, we run a weekly podcast about politics and the common good, and believe that stopping Trumpist kinds of candidates is crucial for the well-being of the planet and everyone who lives on it. We've had zero stories that have been related to what the Senate is saying is important for the American people to move things forward. We barely have talking points from the Biden administration to react to and respond to.
Yep.
It's insane to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I consume levels of news
Yeah.
that you know are on par with other people in the same industry. I don't know what Chuck Schumer is saying. This is the message for Democrats. I don't know really what Joe Biden is saying. This is the message that we need to be pushing, and the big story, and what's the narrative. It is shocking to me how little of this there is when there's so much. The news feeds are unlimited.
Yeah, absolutely. You're totally right about that. And, it's frustrating. And I mean, we talk about George Santos leaving Congress, and we didn't even talk about the implications of that to the very slim Republican majority in the House. Joe Manchin announced he's not running for re-election, which means Jim Justice, the Republican governor of West Virginia, is going to be elected as a senator from West Virginia.
Yes, he will.
Bringing, eliminating the one vote majority that Democrats have. Like everything feels like it is just razor thin. Like it's just, everything is so tight.
Like the flip of a coin, my man. Like the flip of a coin.
Oh, it's so good.
See what I did there?
And Democratic leadership are not giving us anything to ping off of, to campaign on, Now
they will argue, the campaign sides of this stuff will argue it's too soon, right? Like, there's a reason that you sell a bunch of your candy for Halloween in late September, early October. Like you don't package that stuff up in April. That's Easter candy, right? Like their idea is there's a calendar, there's a rhythm to this. Once we turn our sights and our target, that is bad advice that they're taking and bad advice that they're giving. Give us a little bit as we go, could you? And look, I'm sure people that are running Republican podcasts feel the same way. Like, could you just give us a little? The common sense inside the Politico world is so confusing to me, like truly confusing. I don't understand why they treat it like a pop-up store for selling Halloween candy, as opposed to, Walgreens and Walmart that want you in there all the time, and then they boost you on the Halloween candy.
Yeah, it's a spirit Halloween store with it's the pop-up with the
there it is.
You can go to Walgreens and get your costume, but you want to go to Spirit Halloween.
Yeah. And I don't know who sells more. I don't know the economy of Halloween costumes and candies. But I just think you have 4 years as the president, you have 2 years as a House member, and you have 6 years as a 6 years as a senator to make your case so that by the way, my theory on advertising, which I think relates to politics, is that advertising doesn't get people to do something they don't want to do. There's no ad you've ever seen that hypnotized you into behaving in a way you don't want to behave. That's not the purpose of advertising. No one spends advertising dollars on that, other than people buying Facebook ads to boost products that I don't want to buy, and they're pushing them at me. They're just bad advertisers. Social media advertising has made people into bad advertisers. I'm on a rant here for a minute, because people believe that advertising gets people to do things they don't want to do. They think it's trickery. Right. Mm-hmm. Your common person who's going to boost a Facebook ad or post believes I got to get people to do something that they wouldn't do if they just looked at it clearly. That's not what advertising does.
That's right.
I think advertising does a couple of things. One, it tells people that your previous choice that you made to consume our product was a good choice. A major amount of advertising. Mm-hmm. Let's say you're watching a TV show and there's a ad for a automobile that makes the automobile look really great and sexy, and it's a Buick. Do you think they're
Narrated by Matthew McConaughey.
Hey, there you go. Let's build this out. Narrated by Matthew McConaughey or Tiger Woods. Do you think they're trying to get people that buy Toyotas? Here, I said that. I don't know why. Toyotas to buy a Buick? No. They might not even be trying to get Buick owners to buy this next model. What they are doing is helping Buick owners feel really good about buying a Buick. So the next time they go to buy one, their sense of satisfaction is high. A major part of advertising is to keep your customer. It is crucially important. The second thing advertising can do is it tells you that something you do want exists and you didn't know it existed. Like when someone heard about the app Paste, which isn't paying us anything for this, but then they found out that on their computer they can download an app that then keeps track of all their paste, and they're like, I want that. If someone doesn't have a computer or do a lot of pasting, it's not going to be like, I should probably get that because that sounds like a great app. No, it gets someone to buy something that they want that they didn't know existed. A great thing for advertising to do. The percentage of dollars that should be spent on convincing someone that you have a thing they want versus you already bought our thing and we want you to feel like you made a good choice, that's going to split the 100%. The 0% is getting people to do something they don't want to do. Political messaging needs to think in these same terms. Mm-hmm. Did you vote for a Democrat? Here's why you should feel good about it. Did you not vote for Trump? Here's why you should feel good about it. Are you wondering who you should vote for? Let us tell you about these things and see if this is what you want. Mm-hmm. Not, let's figure out how to get you to do the thing you don't want to do. I mean, our primary work comes out of that idea. Our primary vote common good work, to get faith voters who've become dissatisfied to feel increasingly dissatisfied with their dissatisfaction of Republicans, and to consider doing something they may want to do for the very first time, which to consider voting for somebody outside of the Republican Party, and they've never done that before. That's what we're doing. Are we trying to get people who don't want to vote for Democrats to vote for them? Are we trying to get people who want to vote for Republicans to stop voting for Republicans? No, because it doesn't work. But what does work is building confidence. So what they should be doing for all the time before election season is helping people feel good about the choice they made. Yeah. And honestly, I don't understand why there's so little that goes on. Because here's what Democrats do. I'm really on a rant now. Pardon me. I mean, you could walk away. I could go full screen. You could walk away. It doesn't seem like it would matter to me at this point. Sorry about that, Rob.
Yeah, I'm reading Twitter.
Here's the thing. Now I've lost the thing. Okay, never mind. I had
Let me tell you about my favorite.
I'm thinking about what's probably on Twitter. Please.
Can I tell you my favorite commercial right now? I see it often while I'm watching football games, which is ironic because it is a commercial for women in menopause. Veoza, I think it is. It's a medication for women who are going through menopause to stop hot flashes. Oh. And the commercial's all based around the idea of not flashes instead of hot flashes, not flashes.
Like a hot
and it's your standard medical commercial, pharmaceutical commercial. At the end, as all pharmaceutical commercials do, it lists the side effects. Doug, the final side effect listed of Veoza, I think that's what it was called. The final side effect of this medication, which eliminates hot flashes for women in menopause, the final side effect of taking this medication is hot flashes. The medication that stops you from having hot flashes
could cause hot flashes.
Might very well give you hot flashes.
How do they say it? Do they say, and if you're experiencing hot flashes, see your dermatologist?
No, yeah, it's it goes through, some people who take this medication might experience, diarrhea, sleeplessness, suicidal ideation, and hot flashes. And like the voice kind of drops at the end,
hot
like
flashes.
we're trying to hide this one.
Yeah. Sorry about that. You saw this one coming. You knew this was coming.
Yeah, I showed this commercial to Vanessa because it makes me laugh so hard every time I see it. I showed it to Vanessa, and she said, if this was a medication for men, this never would have made the air. Like this just never would have happened.
You think those Cialis commercials be like, and could cause impotence?
Yeah, exactly.
They're not going to have those. Nope. Not going to have those out there.
Yep.
I mean, there's a long while we watch some of those commercials, and I'm like, I literally have no idea for this drug what the thing is it does.
Oh, I know.
Like it's a lot of innuendo, but again, what they're doing is not if you don't know, you don't know kind of theory, right? Like, if you don't know what's going on, you don't experience hot flashes, so you don't know we're not talking to you. And
that's right.
And this is how advertising works. Now, when you see things in your scroll, like right now on YouTube, if you're watching this and you're getting cuts of monetization in between, which we hope you are, unless you pay to not see ads, or on Facebook right now if you're scrolling, or on X, if you're seeing ads over there, someone's pushing those ads at your profile, and they're useless generally. I mean, I'm going to be hard on social media advertising, but they're probably working off of, simple data that they know about you. That's why you're seeing ads of stuff you don't even want, or just are related to your previous Google searches or Amazon shopping carts, this kind of thing. They're not smart. The advertiser would love to know what you've already bought so they can help you buy it again. Because repeat purchases drive businesses.
Yes.
You've been in sales. You've walked around with your bow tie on and your
yes,
your Mike Johnson glasses.
Yes, it's easier to keep a customer than to make a customer.
And it's important. In fact, a lot of salespeople, when you ask a person who's in sales, what's your job? And they're like, my job is to connect with our buyers, the people who buy our stuff. That's what I do. Pastors should know this. You and I both being in the church world for a long time. A lot of us look right through the people who attend our churches on a regular basis to see if there's a visitor over there somewhere, because we want to also make sure that somebody who's made the shocking choice to walk into our church buildings on a given day are recognized for the heroic level of work that they just accomplished to pull this off. But the most important thing in most businesses or churches or political movements are the people who are already in. Now, you do have to help the people who are new and getting in to find their way in. And most political situations, most churches, many businesses, many open mics that certain podcast hosts have been attending recently are not particularly good at knowing social dynamics and how you help people sort of get in. But that's crucial work, is to help people feel good about the choice that they've made. Mm-hmm. So when you're talking to somebody, about politics or whatever, if they don't want to agree with you, you're on a different tack. I think, we give this advice out in 1,000 ways. Your best bet to somebody who doesn't agree with you is just to talk about yourself and your ideas in a way that they would say, well, that's more interesting than I thought it was.
Yep.
I mean, that's about as far, and that's pretty good work. Over 20 or 30 years, people be on their own personal roads to Damascus and be hit by that shining light of maybe my biases against this idea are not what they once were. So anyway, I wish that Democrats would give us a little more to talk about, and there'd be some strong messaging that would be coming out of it. And I do not understand why there's not.
Yeah. Hey, if anybody from the DNC is listening, we're not difficult to find. We're happy to help. Compared to everybody else in the political industrial complex, we are not expensive. Just holler at us.
Yeah. Like snuggled up as close to free as you can get. That's us. Very free adjacent, right there. Right. Right. Snuggled up. Hey, by the way, a very nice comment from long ago that I didn't have a way to pop in, from Pam Grace. Thank you, Pam, who says, I am a monthly donor to Common Good. I'll try to amp up my donation. I've been a fan and supporter of Common Good and the Christian left, which I think Pam might be watching this, for a number of years. I always try to remind Christians of what Jesus and the Gospels really taught. Pam, very much appreciate that. And you being a consistent donor to the work we do. The only way we do what we do is people give us the money to do it. We don't have an actual product that we sell. But hold that thought for a minute. Maybe we do have a burgeoning online T-Stream store that if you're on our email list, you're going to get something about for Black Friday or Cyber Monday, Cyber Tuesday, Cyber Monday. Yeah, might be a chance for you to pick up a little something, a little common goodery on the, but we don't really make any money off of stuff that we'd sell in a Teespring store. We have to buy a $25 shirt. If you want to give us $25, don't get a shirt. Just give us the $25. But if you want to feel good about being a Vote Common Good supporter, get a shirt, right? That's why people sell shirts. Okay, I'm about to go on another batch of how this all works. Why there's logos on things. Logos are not on things. Okay. My coffee cup hit the button. All right, we done? Are we done? Hour and 16 minutes. So much. Hey, I think this is going to be it for the week on the podcast stream. Appreciate all of you who've been around.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Jim, Mike, Yabbits, Danny,
Alex,
Dodie. Yeah, you guys. Are you scrolling?
Dave, Terry.
Great. Good to have you all. Oh, I didn't even see Terry's. Hi, Terry.
Pam.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Pam, I feel like you're a new commenter. Terry, I feel like you're a new commenter. We love the comments. And so many of our comments now are coming through YouTube. We appreciate that. We're doing all we can to get our YouTube life a-flowing. We can have some impact on that. So truly, I know people say this all the time. If you're watching this long, you're willing, if you're on YouTube, to hit the like button. Whatever the algorithm is on YouTube, nobody really knows, and we don't know what thing YouTube uses. But as long as they've got a like button and a subscribe button,
smash them.
Click it. The algorithm figures out based on a lot of different things. But the biggest thing that the YouTube algorithm uses is if you watch us and then you watch something else, the other person who watched your something else, they're going to start pushing this to them. That's the fundamental way it works. And they're doing that on a mass scale. So when you're watching around and watching other things, that's how it's that's what it wants to deliver. It believes that other human beings' behavior is the best predictor for what might be your behavior. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, because I see some stuff that advertised to me on YouTube that I'm like, seriously? Huh? How do you like that? Oh, Zampic? No. What was the hot flash thing? Violtra? Vioza. I bet we're going to see that now. I think it's gonna rip the audio right out of this thing, and there's going to be a Vioza ad running for somebody. I hope so.
Yeah, just wait till the end and chuckle a little bit when they say this medication may cause hot flashes.
If you really want to see those ads, just Google like the Vioza or YouTube search the Vioza ad, and then watch that video, and then you'll really start to see a lot of ads about stuff like that.
Exactly.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving, Rob. We didn't even say what you're going to do. What are you going to do? Are you going to eat a turkey?
Absolutely. And going to do that with my son, Calvin, who's coming home today, making the flight from New York City to Northwest Arkansas, and looking forward to spending a few days with him, being together with family. Be a good time.
Has he graduated from the school that he was attending there?
He has.
Okay. Yeah. So you can.
He just lives in New York now.
Now I know and think highly, of course, of Calvin. So, but every parent's little level of concern when their child goes to college and then comes home over Thanksgiving is pretty deep about, oh, I wonder how we're now going to be lectured about the things we don't really know about that they've now learned in college.
Yeah, there's a reason they're called sophomores.
Good one. Once they're out of college, sometimes that can tone down a little bit. So may that be, and I'm not saying Calvin is particularly that way, but just it can just it can just feel a little easier to be like, look, the zeal of the newly converted and the passion of the newly informed is intense, and you get it as a parent. But boy, it would be nice if you didn't have to, endure. Do you guys have any food battles? Do you have food choices? Vegans, non people that want
No,
animals
so
treated in
this
certain
year,
ways, mixing
this
meats with
year,
their.
yeah, this year, we have had our Thanksgiving meal pretty, settled for many
Oh,
years now,
oh,
and like oh, I'm sorry,
oh!
Siri
What was
jumping
your
in
AI
there.
saying?
Yeah, Siri was just telling me she couldn't set an alarm. Okay, I didn't ask you to. We but this year we are adding into the mix sister-in-law and some nibblings, which by the way is my new favorite word, nibbling. Nieces and nephews. It's gender neutral nieces and nephew nibblings. Um, some so
Isn't nibbling an alternative for non-gendered siblings?
no,
In,
no, sibling is non-gender. Sibling is instead of brother or
yes.
sister. Nibbling is for nieces or nephews.
Where are they getting the ling?
I don't know. But it's a great word, nibbling. So it's nibblings and sister-in-law, and I saw the list of pies that are being made. And Doug,
Is one a nibbling pie?
there was not pumpkin pie on the list.
Really?
Yeah, it was like there was fudge pie and there was like some
Huh.
cream stuff. I'm like, where's the pumpkin pie?
Yeah.
Why this is Thanksgiving. I mean,
Okay,
I'm not
Michael
the
Jackson,
biggest.
are you going to start with the man in the mirror and make a pumpkin pie, or
No.
okay, you're not going
All
to
is
be
to
the
say,
solution to
I
your own
don't.
problem?
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know what's going to happen to our meal. Introducing this new variable of sister-in-law and nibblings, and is this gonna totally mess up Thanksgiving? That's the big fear.
Yeah.
But my favorite Thanksgiving tradition. Well, I don't know if it's my favorite. One of my favorite Thanksgiving traditions: drunk Mario Kart.
Oh, that's a game? Mario
Mario
Kart?
Kart's a game. When you add drinking to it, it becomes drunk Mario Kart.
Okay.
And especially, Thanksgiving morning, you're watching some parade. You got parade going on one screen, another screen. Drinks in hand. You got a little Mario Kart happening. It's good times.
Huh. What is
After you
Mario
add,
Kart? Is it a video game?
yeah. Oh my heart. How old are you?
57.
It's yeah, it's like a little racing game. You're in a vehicle and you're driving, and it's fun when you're drunk. I mean, it's fun all the time.
Don't deny it.
It's
I don't deny it.
more fun when you're drunk.
This is simply a statement of fact, and there's no innuendo behind it. I have never played a video game.
Wow.
I played Pong as a kid, but like anything where there's a controller in your hand and a screen and you're doing the thing, I've never done one.
Yeah.
Is that amazing?
Wow.
Like it's just not in my. We've never had one. Like when our kids were like, hey, we were these parents around our house. You go outside and play. Find an old block of wood from a 2x4 and go figure out how to play with it. Like you're not. We didn't have Xboxes. We didn't have Sony PlayStations.
Yeah.
I was
We're
never
not
into it.
Yeah, we're not big video game people, but
But you at least know. You know what's going on. Yeah, you're not
yeah,
a Luddite.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm a Luddite when it comes to that. But what we are going to play this week is Air Pictionary.
Oh, you
Okay.
like draw it?
Kinda. So watch this, AI lover. There's a pen that's
Yeah.
big and long, has a laser LED kind of light on the end. You use an iPad with a camera pointed at you, and as you move in the air, it puts that on the screen with a line,
fun.
whatever you're drawing, and then you can cast that to a TV. So have the TV behind the person, or the iPad in front with only the back camera facing them so they can't see it, or you can make it easy mode. But anyway, then the person draws in the air without seeing, and then has to guess it. That's gonna be our thing. Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah. So we're gonna give that a try, and I would imagine, knowing our children and their partners, people are just gonna be like, "This is stupid. We're not doing this anymore." Like or it has a chance to be great, but I think it could also just be this is dumb. So I've got to be super subtle about how hard I pitch it. Like, hey, this is an option. This is a thing we maybe could do.
Anybody want to?
You see this thing laying around? I know we could try it, as opposed to like,
let's give this a
hey, everybody, come in here. We're gonna, If I go that route, it's adult payback, because at some point my children, who are now 30, 31, 32, 33, will say, remember when we were teenagers and we went on that trip and drove to Washington, D.C., and you bought matching visors, or you bought visors for all of us in different colors, and we had to wear them every time we left the car? Which did happen. Oh my God, it was hilarious. 4 kids, and we're all wearing visors, traveling in a van, a Dodge Caravan across the country, and getting out at things and having to have the visors on, or you had to stay in the car.
Well,
they're still mad about it. 15, 16 years later.
Clearly,
18 years later, 20 years later, baby.
Like, vote common good visors needs to be a thing when we're stopping at the Loves and the the Flying J's around the country. We're walking in with our vote common good visors.
Oh, Shelly and I we would just giggle. We thought it was so, and it is still fun to this day. Like when it comes up, and Rob, as God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly, and this will come up. Someone will bring it up, and it's now like the lore and metaphor for "you can't tell us what to do anymore" thing. That.
Yep. I'm not wearing the visor, Dad.
Yeah, and I'm not playing your Air Pictionary either. All in love and fun, but also like no, like that Quickie Mart stop really shook me. Yeah, I'll show you pictures sometimes that we still have around of the kids just grumping with these visors on. But I'll tell you what, if you've got a family of 6, which we did at the time, and you all come strolling in with visors, either on your head or around your neck or on your wrist, it's hilarious. It's really great. And you had a family of 6. Did you do stuff like that? Did you ever do like any matchy stuff that as a family that you had to do? Did you have any of that?
No.
Huh. Oh, sorry for your loss. Okay. All right. Happy Thanksgiving, buddy. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. And hey, we didn't even bring up, you're from Northwest Arkansas. Yeah. And look, it might be Black Friday for a lot of businesses to get out of, to get in the black because of what they sell. Yep. Nothing like being in Turkeyville down there in Northwest Arkansas, where they are moving through some birds in the last, probably even now. I don't know. I mean, maybe now they're done. Maybe all the birds have been packaged up and shipped out. But Tyson and isn't there another one down there? Is there another?
George's. Yeah. Yep. Butterball. There's a butterball facility. Yeah, we've got. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It's dark.
Big doings here.
Dude, it's dark. All right. See ya. Bye, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving, and do what you can to vote common good.